Lessons for Living, Part 7. Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. Sevier Publications. Celebrating Diversity. We all smile in the same language. Let's smile. Maria Anderson, who owned the hearts of millions with her beautiful singing, once said, I dream of a day when there will be better understanding among people. When I sing, I don't want them to see that my face is black. I don't want them to see that my face is white. I want them to see my soul, and that is colorless. George Bernard Shaw said, we are all children of one father, and the sooner we stop calling each other names, the better. Once when Gandhiji accidentally touched a white man on a narrow path in a town in South Africa, he felt insulted. Gandhiji looked at him and said, if you cut your white skin, red blood will appear. If I cut my brown skin, red blood will appear. We are both alike on the inside. That's where God sees us. India is a land of diversity. There are many religions, languages, cultures, and other differences. According to a recent study, we have 4,636 separate communities. Each community has its own customs, ways of thinking, speaking, and behaving. This wide variety makes our life rich and colorful. We are happier when we are able to enjoy the different ways of all our neighbors. Fights among us make us sad and afraid. They are often the result of misunderstandings. Indonesia is also a country with a wide variety of religions and tribes. They lived in harmony for many years. In the recent past, the country has seen a lot of violence between the followers of two religions. Few years ago, there was a very serious fight. Many houses and shops were burned. Many people of both communities lost their lives. The violence was so bad that the army had to be called in to control it. When things clamped down, an inquiry was held. It was found that the fight started because a member of one community had torn up a page from the sacred book of the other community. To the sorrow of everyone, it was found that the one who had done it was a madman. So many people were dead and so much valuable property was destroyed because of the ignorant act of a madman. How often the communal violence in our own country has such silly starting points. In October 2004, at Burhanpur in Madhya Pradesh, a man accused a boy in the neighborhood of stealing his goat. The dispute over this turned into a clash between two communities that left 53 people injured. Culture is a deep part of our lives. We received some of it from our parents. We learned another part of it through years of education, and some of it has been put into us by the media and other agents. We know one thing very well. The culture of the group we belong to is different from that of the others. This knowledge is also an essential part of human life. We know ourselves better by seeing how we are different from others. There is nothing bad about this as long as we respect those others. There was a great civil war in Rwanda a few years ago. At least 500,000 people were killed. The people of Rwanda belong mostly to one religion, but to two tribes, the Tutsis, the Tutsis, and the Hutus. The fight was between the two tribes, the followers of the same religion. We seem to think more about what divides us than what unites us. People all over the world used to admire us in India because we could live happy together in spite of our many differences. Diversity was not merely allowed, it was looked upon as a precious gift. Today, things are different. The others and the different are looked upon with fear and hatred. The war in Kargil had its bad effects. Nevertheless, it made of made all of us realize one very important point. The men who died for our country belonged to all our religious groups: Sikhs, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Buddhists. They were born in various corners of the country: Odisha, Assam, Haryana, Nagaland, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Meghalaya. They spoke different languages. Everyone suddenly felt like one great nation threatened by an outside force. We became one in our difficulty. Why can't we be one even when we do not face a common enemy? Differences and healthy rivalry encourage creativity. The sun and the rain competed with each other in the sky. Each of them did its best. So, while it rained heavily, the sun also shone brightly, and thus was born a beautiful rainbow arched across the sky. It was the result of the combined action of the sun and the raindrops. Difference should produce rainbows. There is nothing wrong in being different. Difference makes things beautiful. Variety is the spice of life. Our curry is tasty because there are several vegetables and spices in it. Who would go to see a park that has thousands of trees but all of them of the same kind? Who would go to a zoo full only of peacocks? A garden is beautiful because it contains a wide variety of flowers. If people flock to the rose garden in Lal Bagh at Bangalore, it is because there are so many varieties of roses there. We would not progress much if every one of us thought, felt, and behaved in exactly the same way. Thank God for our differences. All we need do is to respect the different way others behave, even when we do not understand their reason for doing so. Truly great people are able to respect everyone. Two whites in America noticed a black youth walked along 42nd Street in New York carrying two heavy bags. He is a black, remarked one. It is normal for a black to be a coolie, to be too poor to afford taxi. The other man walked up, took hold of a bag and said, "Pretty heavy, brother. Suppose you let me take one? I am going your way." The Negro resisted, but finally let the white youth take it. They walked along, chatting like old friends. And that, said Brooke T. Washington years afterward, was the first time I ever met Theodore Roosevelt, who later became the President of the USA. He became great because he was able to treat with respect even people who were different from him. The movement of the movement for moral rearmament, rearmament, rearmament has a beautiful song in which a little child asks his father, "What color is God's skin?" It's black, it's brown, it's red, it's yellow, it's white, sings the father in reply. Everybody is same in the good Lord's sight. How do we learn to live together in peace? I learn to respect myself. When I feel good about myself and my real success, I won't have to put others down to feel good. I know my value. I don't need to humiliate anyone to convince myself or others of my greatness. I am proud of my heritage. I try to speak my mother tongue fluently, learn the dance of my people, narrate stories from our history, enjoy our traditional food. I am eager to explain these things to my friends when the opportunity comes along. I try to be open to people and situations that are new to me. I try to learn from my first time experiences. I'm careful not to judge too fast. There must be a reason for what at first sight seems strange or stupid to me. I learn about other cultures. Ignorance breeds contempt or fear. Knowledge breeds acceptance. I enjoy eating meals in I ask my friends for explanation of what I see them do. I find that most people share the same values. Though expressed differently, all young people enjoy music, movies, dance, making friends, having fun. There is always common ground. I have learned to see from where my prejudices come. I now understand. Now I used to interpret other people's behavior by the rules of my own community. I have learned how I picked up prejudices about others from my family, my community, from anti-social organizations, from the media. I know that I alone am responsible for my behavior. I do not just follow other people's ideas. I have learned to correct my prejudices. I have enough self-confidence to tell my if I don't like bad remarks about other people based only on their color, language, religion, caste, or place of birth. I keep far from groups that preach hatred to others. I find they are narrow, cheap, unjust. Their beliefs and their behavior do not make my life more pleasant. I remind myself of the golden rules. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Treat others as you would like to be treated. After the tsunami in December 2004, Rahmatullah led his Muslim community at Kadalur in Tamil Nadu in turning their masjid and Jama'at into the rallying point for thousands of fish folk, almost all of them Christians and Hindus, who needed assistance of various sorts. This is the model. This is the model we in India need to imitate. May all the hues of the rainbow shower their charms over you. Exercise 1. Answer the following questions. A. What makes our life rich and beautiful? B. Write about the communal relation in Indonesia. C. What did the war in Kargil teach us? D. How do we acquire our culture? E. Explain how a rainbow is formed. F. Variety is the spice of life. Explain. G. How can we learn to live together in peace? 2. Discuss. Uniformity results in monotony. Variety produces tensions. 3. Something to do. A. Let each student in your class explain one beautiful custom in his culture. B. Learn to say welcome, I love you, and can I help you in all the language of your classmates. 4. Something to think about. If India is known and respected internationally, if it is strong, powerful, and influential, it is because my country is so large and diverse. 5. Something to memorize. An elephant is bound by woven ropes of grass. Panchatantra. Remember, there can be no happiness for anyone unless it is owned for all. Sir Jagadish Chandra Bose. The temple and the mosque are the same. The Hindu worship and the Muslim prayers are the same. All men are the same. It is through error they appear different. 10th Guru. Without unity between Hindus, Mohammedans, Sikhs, Parsis, Buddhists, Christians and other Indians, all talk Swaraj is idle. Gandhi. Join and unite together. My brethren, lay aside difference, love one another. Basant Mahalla. Chapter 2. Living in harmony with nature. There is a village in the Caucasus Mountains in Eastern Europe where the average age of its inhabitants is said to be 85 years. There are several people, healthy and strong, who are well over 100 years in age. Doctors and scientists say that they live so long because they have a simple and natural way of life. They spend most of their day outdoors. They do normal physical work and thus get a lot of exercise. Their food is simple and fresh. People in the richer countries are beginning to get worried because there are new types of ill health. People are too fat. They die of tension, diabetes, cancer, heart problems, etc. We live an unnatural life. We do not eat enough fresh fruit and vegetables. We are too busy to prepare our own food. Instead, we eat a lot of things that have been cooked and put into packets, cans and bottles. We forget that their producers have put lots of chemicals into these foods to prevent them from spoiling soon. To improve the taste, color and smell of the food, they also add things to eat that are not good for health. Almost any food we buy in the market today has some artificial chemicals in them. We do not like to drink water or milk. We want bottled drinks. Those who produce them use too much sugar and add something to it to make it get cool faster. It was decided in the United States on May 2006 that these soft drinks will not be sold in school canteens because of the harm they do to growing children. Their producers were also told to limit their advertising of junk food to children. It is alleged that pesticides have been found in some of these drinks. In order to grow more food farmers today use a lot of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. A little of this enters the food and are absorbed by us when we digest our meal. In many countries, there is already a reaction to all this. DDT and BHC are so poisonous that their use has been banned in most countries. Intelligent people are willing today to pay a higher price for food that has been produced naturally through organic agriculture. In Vedic times, even plowing of land was discouraged. Masanbu Fukuoka of Japan rediscovered this natural method of agriculture and came to India to teach it to the farmers of Dahanu near Mumbai. A report brought out in October 2004 compromising our children compromising our children says that in the European Union, exposure of children to chemicals has resulted in poor memory, weaker eyesight, lower intelligence, and less developed skills in the movement of the body. Scientists at the Charité University Medical Center in Berlin discovered in November 2005 that exposure to too much noise on the street and at work raised the chance of heart attack by nearly 50% for men and even more for women. Doctors in Delhi said in December 2004 that one-fourth of preschool children in the city are suffering from asthma. Overexposure to the sun can harm us, but spending all our day in closed rooms under artificial light is also harmful. We do not get the beneficial effects of the good radiations from the sun. Even if there is air conditioning, the air in closed rooms cannot be as good as the natural air in the open, except perhaps in some areas of our most polluted cities. We need to play and work more in the open air. Some children have the habit of killing anything that moves. This is not a good thing to do. We certainly need to protect ourselves against some insects that spread disease, but most living creatures are not harmful to us. They are helpful. We do not know yet the full usefulness of some of this, but it is certain that they help to keep a balance among all the living beings on this planet. Some people are, for instance, afraid of snakes. They kill every snake they see, but most snakes are not poisonous. They eat rats and such other creatures. If we were to kill off all the snakes, these rats would multiply in numbers and destroy more of our crops and spread disease like the plague. Even the poisonous snakes are useful to us. Many medicines are made from their venom. In July 2004, a group of 5 young students set up a snake helpline at Bhubaneswar and Cuttack to rescue snakes in distress. They treat injured snakes and return them to the wild. They go to Professor Sushil Dutt, a reptiles expert, when they need help or advice. Some varieties of birds were once wiped out by the farmers in the place because they were eating their crops. Insects and worms then increased a lot and pesticides had to be used. The insects become resistant to them and even stronger pesticides were made, but each had less effect. Finally, the farmers had to trap in other parts of the country thousands of the same type of birds they had earlier weeded out and release them in their farms. They realized that these birds eat the insects and worms. The good they do for the crops is more than the damage they cause. A Swiss-based conservation group announced in May 2006 that 50 species of plants and animals become extinct every day or 2 per hour. 16,000 species are on the verge of extinction. Human beings form an important part of nature, but we are also one among the millions of living creatures on this planet. We have to learn to live in greater harmony with nature. All creatures help one another in some way. We all depend on each other. We need each other. We go too much against the environment of which we are an element. Some people stay awake till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and sleep long after the sun is up. All the rest of nature goes to sleep soon after sunset and wake up at the crack of dawn. Nature has its own rhythm of light and darkness, of sound and silence, of work and rest, of sleep and wakefulness, of effort and relaxation. The closer our rhythm of life is to the natural rhythm of the world around us, the healthier and happier we shall be. Francis of Assisi is famous in history as someone who lived very close to nature. He was in such total harmony with it that he was able to relate freely even with wild animals. He once talked to a wolf and persuaded him not to disturb the people of a village. He used to talk to birds and fishes. He would call the sun brother sun and the moon sister moon. He was always happy because he was at peace with all the trees, plants, animals, and insects around him. Man is a part of nature and we live best when we live in close harmony with it. Exercise. Answer the following questions. A. Why do people of the village in the Caucasian mountains have long lives? B. Why have schools in America forbidden soft drinks in their canteens? C. In what ways has our life become very artificial? D. How does our artificial lifestyle harm us, particularly children? E. How have people started reacting to the sort of food we usually eat today? F. How did the farmers suffer after they killed all the birds eating their crops? G. Why do we say that Francis of Assisi lived in harmony with nature? H. Explain the balance among all the living creatures of our planet. To discuss. It is possible to live in total harmony. Is it possible with nature? 3. Something to do. Bring to class a packet or can of chips or other processed food. Read carefully the list of its ingredients, all the things they have used to produce its contents. How many of them are natural products? How many are synthetic, artificial, or chemical? What do you know about each of them? 4. Something to think about. How do I strike a balance between nature and comfort, nature and culture, nature and the development? 5. Something to memorize. Nature is the act of God. Dante. The study of nature is a conversation with the highest mind. Jean-Louis agrees. Let us imitate nature. Conformity with nature provides us with a formula of discipline and a standard of rectitude. Ambrose of Milan. He that follows nature is never out of his way. Bacon. We would be happy if we studied nature and acted according to nature, whose rules are few, plain, and most reasonable. Then, Chapter 3. Volunteering. Prince William of UK went as a teenager to Chile to work for a time looking after tribal children there. Princess Diana spent time with AIDS patients. One of her projects shortly before her death was the campaign for an international ban on landmines. Steve Waugh, former captain of the Australian cricket team, runs an orphanage for 200 girls, Udayan in Kolkata. Udayan is my pursuit for life, he said in September 2003. Actor Akshay Kumar was very busy in November 2005 helping in the organization of the Special Olympics Bharat National Games, a sports event for the handicapped. Ricky Martin made a series of advertisements on television to stop the exploitation of the poor children. Winners of beauty contests have to help in raising funds for good purpose during the year of their reign. John F. Kennedy started the Peace Corps after he became the President of America in 1961. He wanted the well-cared for youth of the United States to understand the situation of people in poor nations. He wanted them to help in their development. Thousands of young people have gone out as Peace Corps volunteers to countries all over the world. Several other Western nations have similar programs today. Great personalities from all fields, actors and actresses, writers and sportsmen, politicians and officers, take time off once in a while to lend their help where it is needed. Since they are famous, they draw attention of people to social problems and raise funds for worldly causes. They attract other people to do, in their turn, volunteer for the poor. Why volunteer? Here are a few statements. Discuss them in your class. Do you agree with these statements? Why or why not? No matter how poor, weak or unhealthy we are, there is always someone else poorer, weaker or unhealthier than we are, whom we could help in some way or another. It is by pure chance that we were born into the family we have. It is by pure chance that others were born into families that are poorer, weaker or unhealthier than ours. Most people are poor because they were born poor, had bad luck, fell ill, were victims of injustice, or suffered from natural or man-made disasters. Very few people are poor only because they are drunkards, wastrels, or lazy. It is a part of each one's responsibility to help the weaker ones in society to have a better quality of life. It is a duty and obligation not left only to those who want to do it. Giving money is the easiest way to help others. Sometimes it is also only it's only a means of forgetting the evil we do and escaping from our responsibilities. It costs much more to give of our time. It is unpleasant to come into direct contact with the poor, the aged and handicapped, the sick, the illiterate, etc. Value is not measured in terms of money alone. We should not expect to be paid for every service we give. There are rewards greater than money. We can learn to serve for free. Free voluntary service of others makes us more human. Our responsibility grows. We become more creative. We develop our skills of leadership and communication. We build our teachers. We build our character. If you woke up this morning with more health than illness, you are more blessed than the millions who will die this week. The million who will die this week. If you have never experienced the danger of battle, the loneliness of being in prison, the pain of hunger, you are ahead of 500 million people in the world. If you had food in the refrigerator, clothes on your back, a roof overhead, and a place to sleep, you are richer than 75% of this world. If you had money in the bank, in your purse, and some coins in a dish, someplace, you are among the top 8% of the world's rich. Sir Cyril Mooney of Loreto School, Kolkata, has shown in practice that studies do not in any way suffer by volunteering a few hours of serving every week in the slums around the school. Children enjoy the work, they appreciate the opportunity to be of some service, and their academic performance improves. Their parents are grateful for the values their children gain through this service. Sir Cyril was scientifically proved right by a study completed in September 2004 by the Economic and Social Research Council in the UK. It found that when we volunteer to do something for others, such as helping out an elderly neighbor or taking part in a local community project, we are actually doing something good for our health. This study provides that helping others not only helps adults enjoy better health, but also helps students achieve higher marks and brings down crime rates in cities. In May 2004, at Washington in the USA, 18-year-old Maghan Persia received the National Prudential Spirit of Community Award that includes $5,000 in cash, a gold medal and a crystal trophy. Prudential also distributed $25,000 worth of toys and clothes to poor children in her name. She picked up her skills through a campaign against tobacco products years early at Imho in Madhya Pradesh. What service? Pushpa Lakshman attended a high school graduation ceremony in Vancouver. Some 25 awards were given out the day. Of these, only 4 were for academic excellence, 1 for music, and 2 for sports. The rest were all for community services. High school students set aside a couple of hours during weekends or holidays to visit old age homes or other institutions. They read books to their inmates or help them do their bank work or just bring joy into their lives with their company and their conversation. The students of Delhi Public School, Rohini, do activities to protect the environment. They also care for a vegetable garden for the blind school in their neighborhood. They introduce students in their locality to the use of a computer. The prestigious Rai School of Lodhi Estate in New Delhi has a secondary school run by the New Delhi Municipal Council. They have arranged extra classes for its weaker students in subjects such as English, Science, and Mathematics. The UN Volunteers Association and AUSAID organization a cleanup of the Yamuna. About 100 youngsters from rich families did most of the difficult work. Among them were students, children from the Prize Home and young workers. A group of MSW students at the Jamia University in Delhi, accompanied by members of their teaching staff, went to serve in Gujarat after the earthquake there. Numerous other colleges and universities did the same. Levels of volunteer service. The commonest example of volunteering is that of spending a few hours every week doing some service of another. Here are some examples. Spending time with the inmates of hospitals, nursing homes, prisons, institutes for the aged, the handicapped, street children, child laborers, etc. Tea union or coaching for a week students cleaning up the neighborhood or public place, work for the environment such as planting or caring for trees, speaking to people about problems of the community, helping at special functions at feasts of worship or community halls, raising funds for special needs, helping to conduct surveys, etc. Level of volunteer service. The commonest example of volunteering is that of spending a few hours every week doing some service. There are some spending time with the inmates of hospitals, nursing homes, prisons, institutions for the aged, the handicapped, street children, child laborers, etc. Tuition or coaching for weak students, cleaning up the neighborhood or public places, work for the environment, such as planting or caring for trees, speaking to people about problems of the community, helping at special functions at place of worship or community halls, raising funds for special needs, helping to conduct surveys, etc. A second type is when we volunteer our service for a few days or week to help out in times of some disaster, even like the earthquake in Gujarat or the cyclone in Odisha, call for a lot of immediate emergency service in a very difficult circumstance. A third type is when we volunteer our services full time for a year or two places where people need special support of one kind or another. The Peace Cross of the USA and similar organizations in Europe offers this type of service. Volunteering could be done as individuals and or as part of a group. Young people could serve as individuals for the first category of volunteering and perhaps in the third type for serving in times of disasters. It could be best to volunteer as a group. Anyone can serve. Mustafa of Rajkot is the son of a poor, illiterate housemaid. His wife, Najma, often collects food from other households to feed their two children. Vikas and Taufik, at the age of 18, Mustafa started persuading people to donate blood for poor patients. Within 10 years, by June 2006, he had the names and addresses of 35,000 donors whom the hospitals of Surashtra can call upon when they need blood in a hurry. 14-year-old Shahid Raza was a class 9 student of Springdale School, Dhawala, Kuan in New Delhi, when he put together a collection of 60 photographs he had clicked of the Yamuna. He exhibited them at the Constitution Club in the capital of November 10, 2000. The exhibition then moved on to various schools as a part of the Way for Yamuna campaign to save the dying river. The school students of Delhi have become famous through two of their favorite campaigns, Say No to Polybags and Say No to Crackers. Editorials in the Delhi papers publicly thanked the children for giving the citizens of the capital less smoke and noise at the Deepavali celebrations. Palak Muchal was just a 9-year-old girl at the time of the Kargil War. She went around singing from door to door to raise funds for the Jones. She learned 117 songs by heart. She sings them now to help pay for the medical treatment of children with heart problems. She started by raising rupees 56,000 for her friend Lokesh and followed it up with hundreds more of such songs for other heart and kidney patients. In all the institutions of Mother Teresa that take care of the very poor and in other institutions for steel children, the handicapped, etc. We find many young people from various countries working there for a few weeks or even months. There are Indian volunteers too, but their number can and caught can and caught to be larger. Indeed, it is time for us to realize that it is not enough to wait for the environment, for the government and other organizations to do things for us. It is time for us to start helping ourselves, the less privileged around us, and the environment in which we live. Magan Paricha says, I am convinced that a single person, even if young and inexperienced, can become a catalyst for change. As young volunteer Sunil from Gurgaon, employed with the Airport Authority of India, says, it is time to give something back to the country. Volunteerism has even a dollar attraction. Many students who are candidates for prestigious institutions in America have found that those who have done significant community service in their own village or town have a defined advantage over others in the selection process for admission. Volunteering is very popular among school students today. In 2001, the NGO Habitat for Humanity had 20 youth registrations. By 2005, there were 400. I see a total change in the attitudes of Indian youth towards social services, says Joseph Sakria. His NGO organized Youth Build 2005 to build 500 houses in 6 locations with the help of 10,000 youth volunteers. Be modern, be hip, be cool, become a volunteer. Exercise. Answer the following questions. A. Give examples of some personalities who volunteer their service to various causes from time to time. B. What are some of the service we could offer? C. Explain 3 types of volunteering open to us. D. Why was Magan Prasida given an award? D. Who was Palak Muchal? What did she do? F. Give examples of some young people who give voluntary service. To discuss. Discuss the statements proposed in the lesson for discussion. Something to do. Organize a half day of voluntary service that you can, as a class or as a school, offer to your locality or to an institution close to you. 4. Something to think about. I am privileged to be of service to others. I never know when I will need the voluntary service of someone else for my welfare or even survival. 5. Something to memorize. The man who lives by himself and for himself is likely to be corrupted by the company he keeps. Charles H. Procrust. He who lives only to benefit himself confers on the world a benefit when he dies. Tertullian. That man who lives for self alone lives for the meanest mortal known. Jacqueline Miller. He who will not give finds none to comfort him. finds none to comfort him. Rigveda. By service one attains nearness to God. Uttradhin Sutra. Why you received free of charge, give free of charge. Jesus Christ. I should see God in the poor, and it is for my salvation that I go to worship Him. Vivekananda. Chapter 4. Sharing. Everyone knows that C.V. Raman was the first Indian scientist to win the Nobel Prize for Physics. He was awarded this prize in 1930. He discovered how light is scattered differently when it falls on different objects, depending on the materials in these objects. In honor of him, this scattering of light is known as the Raman effect. C.V. Raman was born at Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. His father, Chandrasekhar Iyer, was an educated man and taught in the local school. Raman was an exceptionally intelligent boy and shot it right from early childhood. He was given double promotion 3 times in the course of his schooling. He wrote his matriculation examination at the age of 12. He completed his BA degree at the age of 16 and got his MA degree at the age of 18. It was most natural for such a brilliant young man to want to go to England, as was the practice then, to do further studies there. But Raman's father reminded him that their family was poor. Raman would have to get a job and use his salary to educate his younger brother and sister. Raman found a job with the Indian Financial Service and was posted to Rangoon in Burma, Myanmar. At the age of 19, Raman started to work. This is a great tradition found all over India. We have the tradition of extended family. The father of a family takes care not only of his own children but also the children of his brother and sisters. Those who have larger incomes give financial assistance to those who have less, particularly for the education of their children. We find this practice in an even stronger way among the tribals of our great nation. It is very common to find young men and women from the Nagas, Mijos, Arunachalis, Khasis and other tribes living and working in tough circumstances in Delhi or some other metro and sending back a large part of what they earn to their family in northeast India for the education of their younger brother and sisters. According to the original tribal values, there are no high castes or low castes, rich or poor. Perhaps someone had an exceptionally large harvest or other income. He would share it with the poor ones and through a ceremonial. By the end of the feast, all the families would once again be more or less equal. Even the king of the village did not live in luxury far above the rest of the village. Everyone respected him, worked in his fields, and helped him build his house. In return, he led the village and guided the elders in taking decisions. He offered hospitality to the visitors to the village. His economic situation was more or less the same as that of the rest of the villagers. The whole village, including the family of the king, grew and developed together, feasted and celebrated together, or starved and suffered together. Widows or families that had no physically fit persons to work in the fields did not have to starve to death. The rest of the village saw to it that their needs were taken care of. It is for this reason that in a tribal society that lives according to its original values, we do not come across beggars. The equality among the inhabitants of the village and the voluntary sharing of one's excesses with the poor made it totally unnecessary among tribals to lock one's house or barn. In fact, they stocked their food grains, which which formed their greatest wealth. In barns quite far from the village itself, this was done to be sure that even if the village burned down in a great fire, no one would die of starvation since the barns were all safe. These barns, built next to each other but far from the area of the were never were never locked because no one needed to steal the grains of anyone else. If someone really needed food, the rest of the village could give it to him. In one or both parents died young, their children were automatically adopted by their uncles and treated by them as their own. In fact, it was quite common, even not so long ago, to find parents who sent their nephew and nieces to school rather than their own children because they found them more intelligent or working. After the tsunami in December 2004, there were 177 Nicobarese tribal widows and 143 orphans. Indian officials offered assistance to the children if they would be kept in orphans, but the villagers refused. They are our children and they will remain with us, they said. In true tribal tradition, the extra expense at a death, illness, or marriage in the family were unofficially shared among all the families in the village. No one never had to sell off his land or other property to cover such expenses. In fact, private property existed to a very minimum, with most lands being owned by the village in common. We found even today group of young people taking turns to work all together in the fields of all the families in the village, all the families of the village. In this way, they have company while in the fields, and the work becomes more pleasant. There are great values of sharing that we find particularly among tribes in our own country and all over the world. Influences of other cultures have brought change among some tribes in some areas. This value ought to be preserved or copied by everyone. They contribute to true happiness in individuals, peace in the village, and harmony in society. In Europe, some families have the habit of doing a spring cleaning. They go through all their belongings, particularly their clothes. They give away to the poor anything they have not used for a full year. Angela D'Souza was sitting by her husband's bedside in RK Hospital opposite Santa Cruz railway station when the serial bomb blast of July 2006 took place. She did not think of running away to safety or caring only for her husband. She ran towards the scene of the blast, carried victims to the hospital and helped clean up their wounds. Somnath Julka went to the information counter at Sion Hospital. No one of his family was injured in the blast, but he spent the whole night there helping people look for their relatives as well as giving out money and medicines to the needy. He spent 2.75 lakh that is. People shared whatever they could. Women threw out bedsheets through their window on the road for making stretch to carry the wounded to hospitals. helping those weaker than us and sharing whatever we have with those in need are acts of true religion. As Mother Teresa said, helping hands are holier than praying lips. In May 21, 2006, 60-year-old Shubhangi Rane was brought in an intensive care ambulance to Jalasat Hospital in Mumbai. The lady had expressed her yearning to donate her kidneys and her corneas after her death. She wanted someone else to have a happier life using what she did not need any longer. The next day, she was declared brain dead and her desire for the sublime form of sharing was fulfilled. A strong thing in life is that the more you give away, the more you get. Dr. Wayne W. Dyer writes, I have sent a copy of one of my books, Gift from 21, to everyone who has written to me over the years simply as a gift, expecting nothing in return. I have sent it to thousands. The sales of gifts from 21 have increased since I began giving it away. The more I give away, the more people buy. Additionally, I have received over 1,000 books and texts from people all over the world in response to my sending them a book. Exercise. Answer the following questions. A. Who is C.V. Raman? Why did he become famous? B. Why was C.V. Raman not able to continue studying after he completed his MA at the age of 18? C. Why do we find no beggars among most tribal communities? B. Why did the Nicobar refuse help for their orphans? E. How did tribal people practice the value of sharing and equality? F. What is the purpose of sharing in our society? G. What do we gain by sharing what we have with others? H. What do some European families do every year? To discuss what are the good traditions of our community. 3. Something to do. Ask your grandparents to tell you about the best customs of your community as regards sharing and solidarity. 4. Something to think about. Even as a young student, I have things I can share with others. I can at least share my knowledge and my time. 5. Something to memorize. Generosity is giving more than you can, and pride is taking less than you need. Khalil Gibran. If there is a truer measure of a man than what he does, it must be what he gives. Robert Smoot. The miser starving his brother's body starves also his own soul. Theodore Parker. Where there is greed, there is death. Kabir. Money spent on myself may be a milestone around my neck. Money spent on others may give me wings like the angels. R.D. Hitchcock. Chapter 5. The Children on the Street. Balaji was an intelligent student. His parents were proud to him. They encouraged him to be even better. At the annual examinations, one year he really tried his best because he knew his family expected him to top the class. Unfortunately, something went wrong and he got only the 5th position. He was disappointed. He felt too ashamed to face his parents. He went from school direct to the railway station and got into the first train that came by. Balaji landed up in Kolkata. He knew neither Bengali nor Hindi. He was just a little boy, lost and all alone in a hungry city, in a huge city. He begged on the streets the first few days, then he learned to collect paper and scrap a metal, scrap of metal and sell them so he could have something to eat. Munna loved films. Though he was only in class 7, he used to escape from school, quit office and watch films. He would even steal small amounts of money from his father's pockets in order to buy the tickets. Once he saw the same film 7 times because in it his favorite actor was such a great hero. He was so taken up by all that he saw in this film that he left home and caught a train to Mumbai where his hero lived. Once he reached Mumbai, the life he had to live was quite different from that of his hero. He is now afraid to go back home. He washed dishes and serves quests in a tea stall. He sleeps in a concrete pipeline on the roadside before it is buried and buried as a part of the drain. Preeti had a happy home till 1 year there was a drought. Her parents had no work whatever since no one was able to cultivate anything. Her father took to drinking. After he got drunk, he would beat up his wife and children. Finally, Preeti could not bear it anymore and she ran away from home. She arrived in Coimbatore, seeing that she was alone and helpless. Everyone tried to take advantage of her. A rickshaw puller once helped her against a big boy on the street. Preeti was happy with this kindness and trusted him. Within a few weeks, she became his slave at his mercy in every way. Street children. These are the stories of 3 children out of the lakhs of the streets of the cities of India. They are ordinary, normal children struggling to make a living. Most adults around them are trying to teach them. Juan Songya, director of the ILO, reports in May 2006 that child labor the world over had declined by 11% over 4 years. Unfortunately, he also said that South Asia, India included, has a slower decline than the average. According to a survey conducted by Don Bosco Youth Mission and Educational Service in Guwahati alone, there were 20,000 out of school children and 1,363 working children, besides some 15,000 children who work as servants in the houses of people. In the world as it is today, these children face a blank failure, a bleak future. Some of them made just one mistake in life and they suffer for it for the rest of their life. Most of them, in fact, are on the streets for no mistakes of theirs. They just happen to be born into a very poor family, or they lost their parents at an early age, and none of their relatives or neighbors would help them out. These are normal children like us. Some, like Ashikul Islam of Kolkata, are exceptionally talented. Ashikul, a beggar from the age of 4, made a film on street children at the age of 11. His film was so good he was sent to a film festival in Greece in June 2004. Children of this age from normal families go to school and enjoy a happy, carefree life. These street children and working children could be our brother or sister. If we were born into some other family, we might have been on the streets. What anyone can do. Ashok studies in one of the best schools of Kolkata. One day someone came to his class and spoke about the street children of the city. He explained why the children are on the streets and the difficulties and the difficult life they face for no fault of theirs. He said that his organization was trying to help these children. With a little help, anyone of any age can do something or other to help these children. Ashok now spends 1 hour every evening teaching a group of street children. From time to time, he goes on picnics with them and visits historical places within the city. When he can, he helps out at the monthly mela for the street children. To his surprise, he finds that his studies have not suffered in any way despite these activities. As a matter of fact, he is doing even better than before. Perhaps the time he spent with the street children makes him more self-disciplined. Perhaps he now appreciates more the privilege he enjoys at school and at home. Perhaps explaining things to his studies to his students on the street has made him understand his book better. His parents and school teachers are happy with the improvement in his studies and behavior. Pradeep is a classmate of Ashok. Pradeep would have liked to join his friend in his work with street children. His parents would not allow him, but his attitude towards these children is totally changed. He is no longer harsh or cruel to them. Now he does not consider all of them thieves and troublemakers. He finds the time to say a good word to them occasionally. When he comes across someone really poor, he gives him something from his pocket money. Above all, he speaks to his friends and neighbors, some of whom have children as servants. He reminds them that since October 2006, it is illegal to employ children for any work whatsoever. Deepak, his younger brother, and their parents were not rich, but they could not be called poor. Either Deepak's father was an intelligent and hard-working man. He owned his house in the village and a little west side tea stall, but he died of tuberculosis when Deepak was only 10, and his mother also died, maybe due to blood cancer, nearly 2 months later. Deepak's father was a Muslim and his mother a Hindu. They had to move out of their village when they decided to get married. They went to a region of the state where they were unknown. When his parents died, Deepak went around various parts of the state trying to find his relatives. He fled. When he returned to his own village, he found that their neighbors had driven away his younger brother from their home. They would not allow Deepak there either. They wanted his property. Young and helpless Deepak and his brother ended up on the streets of Patna. It was the story of Deepak that inspired Praveen to organize a youth group in his own village in Andhra Pradesh. His group decided to resist any injustice to the poor in the village. In their meetings, they share news about families that are facing problems. They find ways of helping them by themselves or through the Pradhan and other important persons in the village. They visit the village school to speak to the teachers. They talk to the children who are thinking of dropping studies because they are too poor or because they find their studies difficult. They have organized evening study for these children. Praveen and a few of his friends are there to extend the lessons. Praveens Club has now become a member of network of organizations based at Vijayawada. It links together clubs in all the districts of Andhra Pradesh. Praveen and other leaders from his group attend training programs organized by this network. One of the things they do is to try and prevent children from the village moving to cities by themselves. Praveen invited a group of animators from Vijayawada to his village. They talked to parents, students, children and other groups. They explained to parents how to deal with their children, especially when the family is facing problems. There was another result to the visit of the team from Vijayawada. The poorer villagers formed self-help groups with support and advice from Vijayawada. Some of these groups earn more, save money for emergencies, and make improvements in the village. Praveen is a normal young person. What interests him more than anything else are games and sports, music, fun, and good company. His youth group organizes several tournaments every year, goes on picnics and outings, holds cultural programs at festivals, etc. Thanks to Praveen's youth group, the village is becoming an interesting place and a happier community. In the last 3 years, no child from Praveen's village has disappeared or run away. Pradeep, Deepak and Praveen proved to us that even school children can do something to help street and working children. Exercise 1. Answer the following questions. A. Explain some reasons why children land up on the streets of cities. B. Did Pradeep's study or behavior become worse because he was teaching street children for an hour every day? C. Are the children of the streets very different from us? D. What are some ways in which young people have been able to help street children? E. What could be the benefits of an effective youth club? F. What do Pradeep, Deepak and Praveen prove to us? To discuss. A. Homeless children roaming the streets, bus stands and railway stations are a menace to the public and should be locked up by the police. B. Can we form a club in our school to help children on the street directly or through an institution for such children? 3. Something to do. Do a survey of your town to see how many children live on the streets or work for their living. Instead of going to school, find out the reasons why they are here. B. If you have a child employed at home, help him or her to learn at least to read and write. For something to memorize. Who except God visits the poor beggar? The riches of him who gives do not diminish. Read better. A torn jacket is soon mended, but hard words builds the heart of the child. Longfellow. Blessed is the hand that prepares a pleasure for a child, for there is no saying when and where it may blossom forth. Gerald. Lord, give to men who are older and rougher the thieves that little children suffer, and keep bright and unfilled the young years of the little child. John Masefield. I think that saving a little child and bringing him into his own is a far better business than loafing around the throne. John Hay. Chapter 6. Poke your nose. One day, the frog in the well had a visitor. Tell me about your well, said our hero as they sat down to tea. I'm sorry I don't have a well, replied the visitor. Oh, poor child, I'm sorry. I don't know you were homeless. But I do have a home. Oh, where is it? Where is it? If it is not a well? Well, I come from the sea. I live in the sea. The sea? What on earth is that? It is very large area of water, thousands of kilometers across. Our hero laughing, bursts out laughing. I see you are very funny. You have good jokes. I'm not being funny. I do live in the sea, and I have yet to meet anyone who has ever reached the other side of the sea. You know, everything in my well, there are so many things in the sea that I could never finish studying all about them. I could take you to the sea if you like. Our frog in the well called his visitor a liar and threw him out immediately. He continued to live in his well, perfectly happy ever after. The frog in the well is a good example of people who are not curious in any way. They think they are very great and refuse to learn anything new. They do not have a most human quality, curiosity. The curious child. Put something into the hands of even the youngest little baby, it will immediately put it into its mouth. Doctors say that this is not because the baby is hungry. At the age, the mouth is the best tool for child has to learn more about things. It is just being curious to know more. Have you ever taken a 5-year-old child for a walk? A child of this age keeps asking questions all the time. To everything we say, he replies with a what or why or a how. We need the patience of the Buddha or the knowledge of an Einstein to satisfy him. It is quite possible that we end up telling him to shut up. Other people have said that Other people have said this to us when we were young. Many experiences of this sort destroyed or very strongly reduced our natural curiosity. You will also have heard of Isaac Newton sitting in a garden and seeing an apple fall to the ground. Millions of people certainly had the same experience with no further result. Newton instead asked himself why. Why did the apple fall down and not up? That is a stupid question, if ever this was one. Fortunately, Newton asked it and decided to find the answer. He proposed his theory of gravity. Albert Gargi says discovery consists in seeing what everybody has been and thinking and nobody has thought. In October 2004, a 10-year-old boy, Abdul, helped the police to catch a gang that was printing false money. He used to sell clothes near the Charminar in Hyderabad. A customer one day paid him with a fresh 100 rupees note. The boy felt something wrong. With the excuse of finding change, he went to the police station and showed the note to a constable. The inspector sent some police and arrested the man. Within the next 24 hours, the police arrested 9 persons and Abdul was given an award. Budding scientist. In November 2004, Dhanavi Reddy and Chandan Prasad, student of class 12 in Bishop Cotton Boys School in Bangalore, presented their principal with a rocket they had been making secretly since they were in class 10. Their product was so good that the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, offered to launch it for them. Madhurima Reddy is from the village of Anandpur, a little town in Andhra Pradesh. As a little girl, she noticed that cows avoided eating custard apple plants. She also found farmers mixing custard apple seeds with their grain. She put two and two together and thought that custard apples must have something in them that insects do not like. At the age of 14, she got the opportunity to test her idea. Dr. Prasad, a professor at the Osmania University, allowed her to use the lab under his control. Within 3 months, she made a biopesticide from custard apple seeds. Her custard apple project won the third prize in the biochemistry category at the Intel International Science and Technology Fair in 1999. G. Prasant Kumar of Tirupati was a student of class 7 when he saw an educational program on Hyderabad's Doordarshan. The program discussed the possibilities of generating power from waste of potatoes, lemons, etc. He became curious. He wanted cheap power to run his video game. With the help of his teacher, K. Venakataswara Raju, he experimented with the paste from the inside of banana peels using various methods as electrodes. Finally, he succeeded in making a wall clock work for 4 weeks on this energy. We had gone on a summer vacation to Bilaspur where we saw the lake die from the shellac industry being thrown away in the forest. Vegetables and other plants were growing there. That made us think. So said Samdeep Agrawal, who together with his classmate Savresh Rathore developed a way to use this industrial waste of fertilize the soil instead of polluting it. They are then only studying in class 9 at Jabalpur. Creative curiosity. These are not some very exceptionally clever boys and girls. They are normal people like us. What common traits do we see in them that we may lack? All these young people were very observant. They saw, noticed, and paid attention to what was happening around them. Scouts and guides received training to improve their capacity for observation. We can sharpen our sense so that nothing that happens around us escapes our attention. They are all curious. They asked questions. What is happening there? Why does it take place? How does it happen? They were not discouraged by people making fun of them. They wanted to know and they went looking for answers to their questions. They reflected. They gave serious thought to what they saw and to the theories they had heard. They did not rush around using the money method. Did not rush around using the monkey method, trying different things without a plan, hoping to get some wonderful result purely by chance. They preserved. Success did not come in a day or two. Prasant Kumar experimented even with cow dung as a bio-waste source of electrical energy before he discovered the use of banana paste. They did not give up when their first efforts failed. They got encouragement, support and help from one or more adults. In some cases, these adults were their parents. In others, they were teachers. Usually it was a combination of both of them. It was, if we study all our possibilities, we will always find some adults or at least one of them who will encourage and guide us. 3 words of Gautam: curiosity, kills the cat. You might have heard this expression more than once when adults saw you too curious. Hansad was a student in the Indian Institute of Management at Lucknow. He saw a wes- he saw a website showing different ways of hanging a person. He became curious and wanted to try them out. Unfortunately, he was alone in his hostel room. Something went wrong and he ended up hanging himself to death. There are things it is dangerous to be curious about. We avoid them. Do not poke your nose into other people's private lives. It is bad manners. Do not read other people's letters. Tap their telephones. Overhear their conversations. Go through their computer files. Read their emails. Look into a room through keyholes, etc. Curiosity is no excuse for this type of behavior. Some of our Indian habits are considered bad manners by other people. We should not ask people we meet for the first time whether they are married, how many children they have, what their salary is, etc. Thirdly, beware of satisfying your curiosity with things like drugs, alcohol, tobacco, etc. We easily get addicted to these things, especially to the most deadly of them all, drugs. There is no more dangerous thing you can do than trying to satisfy your curiosity about drugs. To see just once what it feels like. Never try drugs. Exercise 1. Answer the following questions. A. Write the story of the frog in the well. B. What is one strong characteristics of every child? C. What does Albert Gayatri say about discovery? D. How did young Abdul of Hyderabad become a hero? E. Write about a few young people who made important discoveries because they were curious. F. How did some curious people become successful? G. Is it dangerous to be curious about some things? H. Is it good to be curious about another person's private life? I. Why should we avoid being curious about tobacco, alcohol, and drugs? 2. Discuss. Curiosity is for children, not for grown-ups. 3. Something to do. Make a list of things happening around you for which you still do not know the explanation. How can you find answers to your questions? 4. Something to think about. If I am not curious about anything, I will remain forever as I am now, will never grow. 5. Something to memorize. The first and simplest emotion which we discover in the human mind is curiosity. Edmund Burke. One of the secrets of life is to keep our intellectual curiosity acute. William Lyon Phelps. Knowledge cannot spring up by any other means than curiosity, just as an preperception of things is impossible without light. Shankaracharya, Aparaksam 2. The important thing is not to stop questioning, never lose a holy curiosity. Albert Einstein. Chapter 7. The Treasure. Suppose you are told on your way home today that someone has buried a treasure under your bed. How would you react? Laugh it off as a joke? Run home to dig out the treasure? Seek more information? Ask for proof? Some of us do sleep over a fantastic treasure chest, the treasure that each of us is. Some would find it easier to believe that there is a treasure under their bed than to consider the possibility that they are themselves a treasure. A group of students once went with their teachers to the Kolar goldfields in Karnataka. They had fantastic pictures of the mines of their minds. Glittering dust, gold pieces lying about, waiting to be picked up. People having gold everywhere. Their eager expectations were turned into disappointment when they reached KGF. All they saw were hillocks of black soil. They saw ordinary people struggling to make a living as in any other place. In the mines themselves, there were only black rocks, dust and dirt. The gold lies in veins within these rocks. It is hard to detect it and it requires lots of work before we can bring it out and purify it. Unless you have an eye for the gold, you will never see it. You will see only the mud, the rock and the dirt, said their guide. You need to have an eye for the gold within the rock and the mud. We need to have an eye for the treasure within us. Otherwise, we can kick ourselves around the dirt and mud, little realizing our own value. Within each of us is a great treasure just of physical energy, intelligence, memory, willpower, spiritual power, willpower, talent and strength, waiting to be dug out of layers of dust, mud and rock that have covered it through the years. Remove the dirt and you get the shining gold, a most lovable human being. Incredible. Well, that is now. That is how it is. Dipti was phoning her teacher regarding a speech she was asked to give the next day in front of an important visitor to the school. It was a great honor she was given. Dipti was a bright student and very talented. She was admired by her friends, only she did not seem to notice it. She was ringing up her teacher to tell her she could not do the special assignment. I don't think I can write it up, madam, she said over the phone. I'm never good enough for any of these things. But you are good at it, Dipti, said the teacher. What did you say, madam? I said, you are very good at writing and speaking. There was a long pause, and then, would you please repeat what you said? You have a great talent for writing and speaking. There was a nervous giggle at the other end, followed by, you must be joking, madam. No, I mean every word of it. This time, there was a longer pause, and the teacher could hear Dipti cry softly. Then she said, madam, it is the first time someone is telling me something like that. No one has ever directly told me that I am good at anything. Thank you. When this incident took place, Dipti was 18 years old and studying at the first year of her degree course. It is hard to believe, but 18 years had to pass before she received some sincere prize. When the incident took place, Dipti was 18 years old and studying in the first year of the degree course. It is hard to believe, but 18 years had to pass before she received some sincere prize. That day, she began to search for the treasure within herself. There is no mass production of human beings as things are produced in factories. Each individual is created by God carefully, individually and specially. I am the only one of my kind in the whole world among the millions who live today and who have gone before me. I am unique. I am precious. There are no copies, no limitations. There are no copies, no imitations. There is no one like me. There will never be another like me. Then why is it that I do not see myself as precious and unique, there could be many reasons. False notion of humility. Many think that they are being humble when they say, I am worthless, I am no good. But it is not true. Humility is in knowing the truth about ourselves, accepting it and thanking the others of the truth, God. God does not make junk to say, I am useless and I am no good. It is to insult God Himself. I cannot be humble useless. I cannot be humble unless I am proud of myself. Comparisons. Some spend most of their time in admiring others and feeling sorry for themselves, saying, "Oh, he is much better than I am. If I only, if only I had her beauty and charm. If only I were an athlete like him or an artist like her," etc. All their time is spent in seeing what theirs have, forgetting to look into themselves. Focusing on the negative. Our attention is often focused on the bad side of our personality and on what is lacking in us. Paying attention only to our weaknesses can make us feel useless and unable to do anything. Put down. As we grow up, we hear from our parents and other adults many negative things about ourselves, which we slowly begin to accept as the truth. You are a headache. You should have been a boy. Shut your mouth and stop saying stupid things. I do not know what I'll do with you. Look at your cousin. See however she is. Can't you do anything right? Etc. These are some of the common put downs we get from adults. We become what others tell us we are, and we forget to be ourselves. When Charles Darwin was a student, his father once wrote to him, You care for nothing but shooting dogs and rat catching, and you will be a disgrace to yourself and your family." Social status. Today there is a tremendous pressure on young people to own a lot of things, and those who cannot get them feel themselves worse than others. In many parts of India, then, the caste system makes some people feel they are less than others right from their birth. Some people try to make tribals also feel inferior to others. All of this can make people think the wrong way about themselves. How can one discover the treasure? Take some time off and make a list of all your strengths, intellectual abilities to be creative, to study, remember, reason, solve problems, social strength to relate with others, to love, to be of service, be compassionate, to be compassionate, to be compassionate, your other talents and capabilities when you feel like comparing yourself with others and belittling yourself, or when you get a put down from someone, think immediately of one of the strengths you have listed. Focus your attention to these strengths and those you can reach by using them well. You need to have a positive idea on yourself. Here are some tips from psychologists to strengthen your sense of self-worth and giftedness. 1. Build your self-awareness. This does not mean you are all the time thinking about yourself. It means you know who you are. You recognize your gifts. B. Be who you are. You can forgive yourself, your weaknesses. You don't reserve them, but you accept that you are imperfect as other people are. 3. Build on your strengths. Do not make yourself fail by ignoring your best. Set your goals on the basis of your strengths and gifts. So, surprise people, take occasional risks, and do the unexpected. Test your limits. 5. Learn from your mistakes. Some youngsters only feel sorry for themselves because of their mistakes and live in misery. Try a while, but to get up again. Try not to repeat the same mistake. 6. Choose friends that give you a lift. You will need 10 good friends for every one that grades you down or discourages you. 7. Use opportunities for counseling. When you are discouraged and sad, talk about it with someone you can trust at home, at school, or elsewhere. 8. Enjoy yourself. Do something you really enjoy at least once a day. You are worth it. 9. Let other people into your life. Let people love you. Allow them to tell you that you are nice. Love others. 10. Give God a lot of credit. Recognize God's work in you. Remember, He has faith in you and He will never let you down. Exercise. Answer the following questions. A. Describe the experience of the student who went to visit the Kolar goldfields. B. What did Dipti's teacher tell her? Why was Dipti surprised? C. What could be some of the reasons why we do not see ourselves as precious? D. How do parents, teachers, and other adults unnecessarily lower our self-esteem? E. Mention 5 ways of strengthening your self-esteem. Strengthening your self-esteem. To discuss. The high self-esteem is the same as pride and it is against our culture. 3. Something to do. Make a list of all your gifts and talents, your success and victories, all that you are able to do and what you enjoy doing. 4. Something to think about. The study of genetics shows that we have inherited our nature from our various ancestors, but that each one of us is really and truly unique. There is not and there will never again be another human being exactly as I am. Something to memorize. The self-esteem creed. God made me. I was no accident. I was in God's plan. And He doesn't make junk either. I was born to be a successful human being. I am somebody special, unique. Definitely one of a kind. And I love me. That is essential so that I might love you too. I have talents, potentials. Yes, there is greatness in me. And if I harness that specialness, then I will write my name with my deeds. I was born in God's image and likeness, and I will strive to do God's will. In the world to come, I will not be asked, why were you not Moses? I shall be asked, why were you not Jaisa? Rabbi Jaisa. God makes an individual and then breaks the mold. Always be a first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of somebody else. Jerry Garland. Chapter 8. Born to Win. Stealing was my specialty, says Ron Lefort. His gifts of mind and body made him good at stealing. He was seldom caught, but they did catch him occasionally. At age 19, he was serving a sentence of 5 to 10 years for armed robbery. In the years before that, he had already spent a total of 19 months in prison. By the time he was 9, he was smoking cigarettes. At 11, he was drinking wine. At 13, he was smoking marijuana, ganja. And 2 years later, he was taking hard drugs. Like most people, Ron had great talents, but he used them in all the wrong ways. He made bad choices. One day while doing his jail term, he was feeling cold. He began skipping rope and doing push-ups to stay warm. He also wanted to tire himself so he could sleep at night. When he noticed his muscles developing and his chest expanding, he gradually increased his exercises. He noticed that baseball players in prison received better treatment, so he began playing. When he started using his feet, strength and intelligence, he became a very good player. His success in the field aroused in him the desire to complete his high school studies. He did that in the prison itself. He decided to stop all his bad habits. Within an hour after he was let out from prison, he signed a contract with a professional baseball team, and there was no looking back. In 1977 and 1980, he broke records at American baseball. You are born to succeed. What does this phrase make you feel? Indeed, you are born to succeed. Anyone who tells you something else does not know a great truth. But make no mistake about it. Success does not come to you by itself. Success is for anyone who makes the best of his talents and opportunities. Everyone can succeed. All are born to win. God does not create junk. People achieve success because they do the following three things. 1. They want to succeed. 2. They learn how to succeed. 3. They persevere till they reach their goals. They are prepared to pay the price of success. Dr. Wayne W. Dyer has two posters in his office. One is a picture of Albert Einstein. Below it are the words, Great spirits have always faced strong opposition. Great spirits have always faced strong oppositions from average minds. The other poster has only words on it. I am grateful to all those people who said no. It is because of them I did it myself. These are great thoughts. What do they mean to you? What is success? Success is relative. It means different things of different people. Ron Lickford was a moderately successful thief who became a greatly successful baseball player. For some people, success may be the development of a vibrant personality, or to others, the establishment of a fine home and a happy family, to others having great wealth and power, etc. However, everyone would agree that success includes freedom from fear, worry, anxiety, frustration and failure in life, and achieving peace of mind, self-respect, sufficient money, etc. When we reach what we sent out to achieve, we are successful. Lakshmi Nivas Mittal, the owner of largest steel-making company in the world and the richest Indian, says, success is not about counting your millions, but about achieving new targets. It is the success that brings me personal satisfaction rather than how much money I have made along the way. Success is not about counting your millions. How to achieve success? Believe that you can. Positive thinking can and does work miracles. If you believe that you can. Believe in yourself. Make the most of your life. Success comes in can'ts. Failure comes in can'ts. Know where you are going. Do you know what you want from life? If you have a purpose in life and the determination to achieve that purpose, life is full of adventure and success is certain. So goals for yourself. Observe and listen. When asked about the secret of his success, Charles Darwin said that he was good at nothing. He was good at noticing things which escape the attention of most people and at observing them carefully. Listen to people, you can always learn from him. People who are pleased because you listen to them will also be happy to help you. Make use of all your resources. Most people do not even know all their talents, gifts, and powers. They hardly use 10% their capacities. It takes a lot of hard work to develop the talents you have. Be aware of your limits. It takes courage to accept that certain things are not in in your line. But this knowledge will prevent you from wasting time on things that are not meant for you. There is a great variety of achievements we can choose from. Look for success in the right place. A man was once searching for his car key outside his home. His neighbor joined him in the search. After 30 minutes of fruitless search, the neighbor asked, "Where did you drop your key?" "Oh," he replied, "I dropped it in my bathroom." "But why are you looking for it outside? If you dropped it inside the house?" he asked. "I have no light inside the house, so I came out here to look under the street light," he said. How foolish. The easiest thing to do is not always the right thing to do. The God as your partner. With God as your partner, you can be sure of success. You plan for success will then be founded on honesty and surrounded by kindness, love and generosity. Your plan will never fail because you will judge your success not by the result alone, but also by how you achieve them. If God be with us, who can be against us? Bible. Help others succeed. This may sound strange. The more you help other people succeed, the more success you have. What goes around comes around, say the Americans. Develop a win-win attitude. Win by helping others to win. Help a weaker student. Share your notes, your ideas, your knowledge. When you help others success, you promote your own success. Face defeat bravely. The life of any great person is not the story of an uninterrupted series of success. Uninterrupted. The life of any great person is not the story of an uninterrupted series of success. Failed in business 1831. Defeated for state legislature 1832. Again failed in business 1833. Elected to legislature 1834. Sweetheart died 1835. Had a nervous breakdown 1836. Defeated for speaker 1838. Defeated for elector 1840. Defeated for land officer 1843. Defeated for Congress 1843. Elected to Congress 1846. Defeated for Congress 1848. Defeated for Senate 1855. Defeated for Vice Presidency 1856. Defeated for Senate 1858. Elected President 1860. How many of us can live with such a series of defeats? It is true that Lincoln had great nature talent and gifts, but the greatest gift God gave him was the courage not to allow defeat him completely. Happiness and success await all who rise above their failures and use defeat as stepping stones to victory. As stepping stones to victory. Are you a winner? Everyone can succeed. No one was born great. They become great. No one was born great. They became great. I too can become great. I too can win. The genuine seekers after greatness put first things first. They know the difference between what is essential, what is important, and what is useless. They plan well, have the notice, have the patience to carry out their pain, and prevent and preserve in the face of obstacles. There can only be one outcome: success. Here are some tests to see whether we are to the road to success. 1. We have a plan. The successful person knows what he wants to do and has a definite plan of action with even a second plan today. Second plan ready. If the first idea does not work, he is never discouraged or desperate because he always has at least one more idea in his mind. 2. We are disciplined with the control coming from within. Studies show that a successful person is one who is able to postpone some of his desires. Self-discipline and the ability to sacrifice an immediate pleasure for a greater one, a little later, are the keys to success. 3. We create and not imitate. Each person is unique. People who imitate others seldom reach great heights. Those who create and produce their own ideas are the ones who succeed and become leaders. The great tries to create, not to imitate. Dale Carnegie writes, when I first came to New York, I joined the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I wanted to be an actor. I had once thought I had what I thought was a brilliant idea, a shortcut to success. It was an idea so simple, so foolproof, that I could not understand why thousands of others had not already discovered it. It was this: I would study how famous actors got their effects. Then I would imitate the best points of each one of them and make myself into a shining, wonderful combination of all of them. How silly, how absurd. I had to waste years of my life imitating other people before I understand that I had to be myself and that I could not possibly be anyone else. 4. We admit mistakes. We learn from them. We start again. The truly great person does not deny his mistakes. The greater the person, the greater his mistakes. If we are on the road to success, we do not blame someone else for our mistakes. We may fall often and heavily, but we do not remain there, lying on the ground. We get up and keep going. 5. We work hard. Max Payne, who won 8 gold medals in swimming at one single Olympics, used to swim 8 hours a day during the years preceding the Olympics. And every plan. There is no other option to ensure satisfaction. Exercise. Answer the following question. A. What are the 3 things we have to do if we are to success? B. Explain the message in the poster in Dr. Wayne T. Taylor's office. C. What is success? D. What is success according to Lakshmi Nivas Mittal? E. How can we achieve success? F. Write about one great person who had numerous failures and yet was a great success. D. What did Dale Carnegie learn about becoming successful? A. Give the indicators that reveal whether we are on the road to success. To discuss. Looking for success only leads to greater unhappiness. Something to do. Go and meet a successful person in your neighborhood. Interview him to find out how he became so successful. So, something to think about. My success depends almost entirely on me. No one can prevent my success if I work at it systematically. Every part is the result. Every pearl is the result of an ostrich victory over an irritation. We too can make pearls out of their irritations in our life. Something to memorize. Many people miss their silver lining because they are expecting gold near its sweeter. The secret of success is constancy of purpose. Benjamin Disraeli. Prosperity comes to the lion-like man who strives for it. They are cowards who say that it is the gift of destiny. Markandeya Purana. I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know. The only ones among you who will be truly happy will be those who have sought and found how to serve. Albert Schweitzer. The most important thing in life is not to capitalize on your gains, and any fool can do that. The really important thing is to profit from your losses. It requires intelligence, and it makes the difference between a man of sense and a fool. William Bolito. Chapter 9. Courage. Immediately after the tsunami hit this little village, the 23-year-old mason broke into flood homes to rescue old people and babies trapped inside. Everyone remembers him rushing in and out of homes and working like a madman. He found some crying in their homes. Others were stuck up on branches of trees where the giant wave had flung them. There was a rumor that a second wave was already on the way. But leave the people who needed his help. The danger he was exposed to was so great, and his courage to face them took so much effort that he actually lost his mind. Week after in search of babies to rescue. He had to undergo 3 months of treatment and counseling before he could live a normal life once again. Mark Twain said, "Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear." A truly courageous person fears the danger he is in. He evaluates his harm that he could suffer. He judges the greatness of the value that urges him to run the risk of this harm. If this value is more important to him than the harm that could come to him, and if there is reasonable hope of success, he faces the danger. He is still afraid, but he has made his choice. This is the courageous person. A person who feels no fear cannot be called a brave person. He is either very foolish or mentally sick. Many of our Jawans performed great feats of courage in the wars we have fought. Lakhs of our Jawans have risked their very life in these wars and in the constant struggle against terrorists. There have been men who have single-handedly destroyed an entire battle tank filled with the enemy. Thousands did lose their life. They considered the freedom of our people and the unity of our country of greater value than their life itself. Our nation has the tradition of giving awards for courage to children every year. The children selected for this award perform some great act of service for others at grave risk to their own life. The Prime Minister hands over the awards on 24th January, and 2 days later they ride on elephants at the Republic Day parade. There are the stories of a few of them. Among those awarded in 2006 was 17-year-old Puthingkusami from Nagaland. He had his train rushed into the middle of a landslide. Fancying the risk of the sinking land, the rock rolling, a muddle-edged who had been caught in the slide. 10-year-old Seduline Makhliua of Meghalaya won the prestigious Geeta Chopra Award because she dashed into a bus with a shawl and brought her out safely. There were two Bharat awardees from Assam. In October 2004, militants came to a school, called out a teacher and shot him. Ritul Chandra Prabha and Rituparna Boro, two students, ran after them. Though the militants shot back at them, they did not stop. They went after them from two directions, and Ritul brought one of the militants down with a stone aimed at his head. The two of them picked him up and handed him over to the police. What makes it possible for people to do such heroic acts of courage? If we were to talk to them at length, we would discover that such individuals have the normal fears that even when it costs them some pain or sacrifice. They did not always choose the easiest way out of situations. They were not lazy by habit. Every right choice strengthened their willpower. Their little acts of courage built in them the capacity for what they had to do when a great deal of courage was called for. Those who are not courageous in little things cannot be courageous on great occasions. In April 2006, there was an electronics fair in Maruti's Victoria Park. Thousands of people crowded the 100-meter long train to see the goods on display. A short circuit started a fire that spread all over the tent in a flash. 18-year-old Muhammad Javed was on the scene, and he rushed into the tent to drag a person out. Once he got him to safely, he went back in repeatedly, each time rescuing one more person. He saved 6 lives that day, but he suffered 70% burn injuries and died a few days later at Safdarjung Hospital at Delhi. A 12-year-old boy did the same 2 years earlier in Tamil Nadu. He was in a classroom on the ground floor of his school when a fire broke out in the head room on the terrace of the building. He ran up there to rescue his 8-year-old sister and then several others till the roof collapsed on him and he was charred to death. To see what is right and not do it is want of courage, said Confucius. Even very courageous people may go through life totally unnoticed. These are people whose everyday life itself is an act of courage. On 11th July 2005, 9-year-old Leila started suffering severe pains. Doctors soon diagnosed that she had cancer of the liver. Her family is poor. By mid-December, she and her parents had gone 6 times to Mumbai by bus. Each time she underwent chemotherapy at Lilavati Hospital immediately after the treatment. Once again by bus on 19 December, she underwent an 8-hour operation and 3/4 of her life 3/4 of liver was removed. On Christmas Day, she was busy going around the children's ward. Kajal Dev is a table tennis player and coach in Agartala. What makes him extraordinary is the fact that he does not have a right hand, though that is the hand he plays with. He lost in a bomb explosion in 1980. He spent several months in the artificial limb center at Pune, as he did not like to use an artificial limb. The army doctors operated on the stump of his arm to enable him to. It was only after that he developed a desire to play table tennis. He used to strap to tie the bat to what was left of his arm. But this was not easy to use. When he started swimming, he was stuck. Brought some special wood from the USA and used it to make a bat suitable for him. 2 years of steady practice made him fit enough to join state-level tournaments. Table tennis is not an easy game for him even now. He says, "Since I do not have palms to twist and the length of my arm is reduced, my body movement has to be greater and swifter than the others." He enjoys playing table tennis and spends all the spare time coaching younger players. "I play tennis, I drive a car and do all my chores without any outside help. My wife supports only when I have to button my shirt." Exercise 1. Answer the following questions. A. Who is a courageous person? B. Can anyone at all become a courageous person? How? C. Is lack of fear the mark of courageous person? D. What brave deed did Muhammad Javed do in Meerut? E. What have we do in our daily life if we are to be courageous in dangerous situations? F. Write about Rahul and Rituparna of Assam. G. Why is Leela of Hyderabad considered a courageous person? H. Who is Kajal Dev of Agartala? Why is he an extraordinary person? To discuss. Courage is almost a contradiction in terms. It means a strong desire to live, taking the form of readiness to die. G.K. Chesterton. Something to do. Write an article about a courageous deed of the courageous life of someone you know and send it to a newspaper. B. Find someone who is having a difficult time in his life. Spend some time talking with this person to encourage and support him. So, something to think about. A. What is the most courageous deed you have ever done in your life? B. Has courage ever failed you, leading you to tell lies, to do wrong, to fail to what you know was right? Something to memorize. The test of courage is not to die, but to live. B. Al-Firar. People don't stumble on mountains, but on small stones. Looking danger, but in seeing and conquering it. A great deal of talent is lost in this world for the want of a little courage. Sidney Smith. Chapter 10. Master of Oneself. Early on Sunday 29th November 1999, 11 persons were killed and 3 seriously injured when the Maharashtra Express hit their jeep at a railway crossing between Ahmednagar and Nimbalk Station. President of Madhav K. Garg said the railway crossing gate had remained closed for some time. The jeep's driver tried to cross the tracks using a passage at the side. He always trying to free it. The train come and hit the jeep. A total of 180 persons were killed in railway accidents in Faridabad alone in 1999, including those run over by trains. Actually, what's surprising is that accidents of this sort do not take place even more frequently in India. The roads at railway crossings are closed when a train is about to come, while the gate is being lowered, as many vehicles as possible try to pass under the metal pipes slowly coming down over the train. The staff know that it will take a long time to close the gate due to this rush of people. They are forced to start much earlier than really necessary, just to be sure that the gates will be closed before the train arrives. If they could be certain that all the vehicles would stop as soon as the signal is sounded, as they ought to, they could wait longer before closing the gates. Everyone would then lose less time, but we lack self-discipline, so the level crossing staff have to discipline us, and all of us lose more time. What is worse, once the road is supposed to be totally closed and blocked, dozens of pedestrians, cycles, scooters and motorcycles squeeze through the small gap on either side of the gate and under the bar itself. This continues right up to the arrival of the train. This is how accidents take place. That is not the end of the story. After the train has passed, it takes nearly 10 minutes for a smooth flow of traffic to resume. Why? The roads at railway crossing are closed when a train is about to come. A queue of vehicles from as soon as the gates are closed. A newly arriving vehicle does not join the end of the queue as it should. Instead, it crosses over to the right lane and moves ahead as far as possible. The driver would like to gain a few minutes by jumping the queue and getting ahead of those already parked in the left lane, long before the gates are opened. Both lanes on either side of vehicles. As the gates are raised, there is a general rush from either side. They meet in confusion right on the rail tracks. A lot of shouting, pushing and pulling takes place before anyone can get through. One way to avoid all this might be the post policemen at every level crossing, but how many policemen would be required on either side of the track to make sure that all vehicles stop promptly when all the bottom of the queue? And how many thousands of such railway crossings are there all over our vast nation? The only feasible solution is discipline, not the discipline that comes from our outside, but which comes from within, self-discipline. In the classroom, as soon as the teacher leaves, there are those who copy during examinations when the teacher is not looking. Some pluck flowers in parks, some drop their waste paper, wherever they are. Some write or draw on the chalkboard or on walls. No one would do any of these things if there were a teacher nearby. This is a sign that they lack self-discipline. External discipline. It is often joked that in India we need three supervisors. We need three supervisors for any one worker. Avoiding work is the general practice. Avoiding work is the general practice. We cannot give a job to someone and expect it to be done properly and on time unless a supervisor watches and gives orders. Drivers do not stop at the red lights at crossroads if a policeman is not standing by. Pedestrians do not cross the road only at zebra crossing. We do not always do our homework before we watch TV. We do not always put our things in their proper place in the house. One reason given for the sense of discipline in some other countries is their compulsory military service. Every young adult has to join the armed force for 2 years. The most important aspect of this training is the discipline that is drilled into the trainees. But the end of 24 months, this discipline becomes a habit in most cases. Self-discipline. In India, we do not receive this sort of military discipline. In any case, the best discipline and the right discipline. The best discipline, the right discipline is not that which comes from outside, but our self-discipline, the discipline that comes from the inside. Lack of self-discipline blocks us from the success we could have through the use of our talents. In 2005, Shoaib Akhtar was not selected to join Pakistan's cricket team that toured West Indies. Shoaib has disciplinary problems. I believe no player is bigger than the team. Inzamam ul Haq, the captain, said. Prozal Hedge wrote in July 2005, today's 18-year-olds like Sanu ke shy or scared of anything at an age when their friends frequented discourse, they practiced discipline. Jofna flew 8 hours to Chennai after her final game in the World Junior Squash Championship at Herentals in Belgium. She did not relax and take within hours after she landed. She was exercised at her gym, leaving her father to give interviews to journalists. External discipline is for animals who do not understand the complication of human life. It is for little children who are still too young to decide for themselves what is truly good or bad for them. For normal people who have reached the age of reason. It is not possible to keep discipline in a population as large as ours through the use of force. We realized this during the emergency in the mid-1970s. We do not have money enough to employ the people needed to check, control, supervise and police a billion and more Indians. Self-discipline is the only way. What is this self-discipline? It is knowing what is the right thing to do at the given moment and doing it whether there are people looking at us or not, whether there is a punishment or not, whether we will be rewarded or not. No one among us can claim ignorance of right and wrong behavior. All of us learn the traffic rules. All of us receive at school as well as at home a minimum of training in politeness and good manners. We have the knowledge that we lack is the will to do what is right. The very first thing we can do is to link what we study in school with our day-to-day life. It is sad to see students who top their class in biology and hygiene, but we keep long dirty nails and wear unwashed clothes. They study only to score well in examinations, not to guide their life by what they have learned. Have you come across students who copy at the moral science examination? There are students who score well in value education classes but do not respect or obey their teachers, elders, and parents. An 8-year-old girl was on a beach in Thailand in December 2004. When she saw the sea level fall and the water move away from the land, she was taught in geography class a few weeks earlier that this was the first sign of a tsunami. She recalled what she had learned and told her parents, who warned the crowds all around them. They all ran to higher ground, hundreds of lives that day because not merely for her exams but for her life. She remembered what she was taught and used it in her daily life. The second step, and this is the more difficult one, is to develop our willpower. So we will do what we know to be right, whether someone is every morning. Each day he would count the number of words he had written and record it. He used a wall graph to chart his daily output. It was the number he wrote on that wall chart and not some external authority that daily encouraged him or scolded him. Self-discipline is not self-punishment. It is a mistake to suppose that self-discipline means conquering oneself. I am not my worst enemy. I am my best asset. Self-discipline actually brings freedom. It is highly gratifying to know that I do what I because I want to do it and not because someone else has ordered me to do it, will reward me for doing it, or will punish me if I do not it. This is a pleasure. We believe in it, perhaps even against the desire or will of the people around us. Here are two simple tricks to develop self-discipline. Start writing a diary. You may never ever read it again. You may never write your autobiography, but you will strengthen your willpower and your discipline. Write something in it every day. You may write about the events, about the events in your life or in the world around you, or your thoughts and feelings. It does not matter what you write, but do not go to bed till you have written something in your diary. Just watch how your self-control grows. Tip 2. If you drop something, pick up immediately. This is a very simple thing. Start doing always, each and every time. Discipline yourself and no one else will need to discipline you. That is the only discipline worth the name. Answer the following questions. A. Explain how accidents take place at railway crossing. B. How do people usually behave when the gates at railway crossing are closed? C. What could be done? What could be one of the reasons for the better sense of discipline in some countries? D. In what way is self-discipline more important than external discipline? E. What is self-discipline? F. In what way can we practice greater self-discipline? G. What are two very simple practices that help us develop self-discipline? Discuss. External discipline prevents our full growth and development. It's something to do. Draw up as a class a set of rules that all the members of your class will follow in the classroom, at school, or on the streets and at home. So something to think about. Mastery of myself is the first step towards mastery of our circumstance around me. Something to think about. Something to memorize. Ours is a democracy which gives freedom to the individual, but this freedom has to be subjected to voluntary restraints, interests of organized society. Lal Bahadur Shastri. Democracy demands self-discipline of a very high order. Bala Yogi, Lok Sabha Speaker. Men who have not observed proper discipline in their youth lie path. Dhammapada. Ignorance and the absence of discipline are the cause of man's trouble. Kautalya. Disregard of the law of discipline and restraint is suicide. Gandhi. All know the way, few actually walk it. Bodhidharma. Knowledge and discipline are mutually complementary. Mundaka Upanishad. What we do depend on what we already are, and what we are will be the result of previous years of self-discipline. H.P. Leedon. Chapter 11. Let the games begin. Teachers This is the motto of the Olympic Games. The Games are an excellent example of the competitive spirit, competition for the sake of personal achievement and not for sake of material gain. It is indeed great to be recognized as the fastest man on earth. For example, one is reminded of Muhammad Ali dancing around in the boxing ring, shouting, "I am the greatest, I am the greatest." In ancient times, the prisoners invaded Greece. Then the Persian officer Tingan heard about the Olympics. They told him that the prize at the games was not money. The prize at the games was not money, but a crown of olive leaves. He exclaimed, "Good heavens! Mauritanians, what kind of men are those who have to fight? It is not money that struggle for, but the glory of achievement." Indeed, not merely the winners, but all those who participate in the Olympics, even today, must be a special breed of men and women. Certainly, they have exceptional physical abilities, but what is of even greater importance, they must be people of high moral quality. A very strong character is required to develop and maintain their high level of performance. They have to avoid all bad habits like drugs, smoking, drinking, eating whatever and whenever they like to, etc. They sacrifice many other enjoyments in life to have enough time, money, and energy to practice. They practice hour after hour, day after day, for at least several months. They obey all the orders and advice of their coach. They do not get discouraged when they lose or do not show improvement as fast as they would like to see. They bear up with the physical tiredness from long practice and suffer pain from injuries. They learn to accept even the wrong decisions of referees and to collaborate with teammates. had made herself for the Olympics. Abeb Bashila was the first Ethiopian to win an Olympic medal. He won the gold in the marathon race at Rome in 1960, establishing a world record. He ran his marathon barefoot. Barefoot. That is what he had got used to as he was too poor to. Christopher Koski, a Kenyan, won the gold medal in athletics. Made that Nairobi street by a gang of robbers. A 35-year-old Russian-born Swede was found to have breast cancer, underwent surgery, and had still not completed her treatment when she won the bronze medal in 100 m hurdles at the same athletics meet. Bruce Lee Ranarji, age 23, died of leukemia, blood cancer, at Bath in England on April 8, 1996. She had been determined to participate in the London Marathon in the name of the Leukemia Society. Only her death prevented her. Certainly, Bruce Lee had no possibility whatever of winning the marathon, but that is the spirit in sports. Winning is not everything. Only one person out of the thousands who run in a marathon will win it. Participating is almost as important as winning. This thought is meaningful in this time of the free market economy. Defeating others using whatever means available has become the main goal in this system. The belief that winning is all that matters always leads to the dangerous idea that we may even do wrong provided we do not get caught and we win. Not all are heroes. Nancy Kenyon and Tonya Harding were rivals for the gold medal for ice skating at the Winter Olympics of 1994. Sometime before the games, Nancy was attacked and hit on her knee by people paid by her rival. Nancy, however, went on to win the silver medal at the games. Players and athletes are forbidden to take drugs to improve their performance. Drugs do long-term damage on their health. Some sportspersons take anabolic steroids because they increase the body's strength. In August 2004, scientists in Australia proved that even indoors famous and earned their business operations. Playing makes plans for winning matches as generals makes plans for winning wars. The standards are so high and the rewards of winning so great that playing and getting ready for tournaments become a full-time job. It is also very expensive now. Today, a large number of coaches, trainers, managers, agents, massiers, advisors, dictations, wherever money in sports is occasionally used for the organizations use sport to for for the standard character to Mumbai. 3 crores for charitable purpose. The sale of tennis rackets used by famous players contributed $160,100 to the fund for the victims of the tsunami. Special cricket matches are organized to make gifts to retired players. Sports and games. Games play an important part in the life of every human being, not merely of the winners in great tournaments. Sports and games. Games play an important part in the life of every human being, not merely of the winners in great tournaments. Games relax us. After a day work or study, there is nothing like an active game in the company of good friends to relax us and wash away all our tiredness. They help us keep our body in top form. Games tone up our muscles, improve the circulation, and develop the physical skills that we need in other areas of life. Even young animals play a lot because these games help them develop the skills needed to live on their own as adults. The body is a necessary condition for a healthy mind, means sana in corpus, as the Romans used to say. Games help us sharpen our intellectual capacity to just see how much easier it is to study after a good game of football. Games teach us discipline. Every game we make the rules and we may change them from time to time, but if we are to enjoy a game, everyone has to obey the rules. If we say, it is after all only a game, and start doing what we like without following the rules, the game stops being fun in a very short time. Games teach us the right way to behave towards those in authority. Everyone respects the referees, no matter how small, weak, or old they may be. We may not like their decisions, but we do not just beat them up or refuse to obey them. We do not alone against a team. His particular skill and his special contribution to make, and this had to be respected. It is collaboration and joint effort that bring success. At the World Cup tournament in 2006, it was not the teams with the greatest stars, Brazil, England, or France, that won, but Italy, fantastic individual players, but a better coordination and collaboration as a team. Sports and games help us develop even the marathon. the end and taken all the positions worth recording. We acquire the virtue of honesty and fair play through players through playing games. That is not cricket. He used to say once upon a time when someone was not fair in his dealing in any area of life at all. Cricket was the gentleman's game, and no one was expected to cheat at cricket. There is also a very practical reward for participation in sports and games. Certificates we earn from participation in district, state or national level events would be useful when we are seeking admission into institutes for further studies and even when looking for jobs. The lure of money. Hansi, how could you? Was the headline in a newspaper in South Africa after Hansi Cronje admitted that he had not entirely been honest in his game. People are cheating even in cricket, the gentleman's game. They do it for money. All sportsmen know that their period of high performance is very short. The temptation is very strong to make as much money as they can, and in all the ways possible in this brief time. Certainly, cricket is not the first game in which cheating has taken place. In 1989, Pat Rowan, a great hero of American baseball, was caught beating on the result of games he was playing in. He was banned from the game for life. Why? Back in 1919, 8 players of the Chicago Black Sox collaborated to lose the World Series for a bribe of $100,000. The earliest recorded case of cheating was at the 98th Olympics of the ancient times, where Epules of Thessaly bribed off all the other boxers. At the 112th Olympiad, Callias of Athens bought off all his competitors at the Pentheus. The answer the people. Of course, the curtain reacted by banishing him from their city-state. Sports fans. We ourselves are the source of some of the temptations sports persons face. We become their fans and make them into demigods and goddesses. We follow them wherever they go. We collect newspaper clippings about them, their photographs, autographs, and even pieces of clothing they have worn. We want to live like them, dress that they can do no wrong. World, where money seems to be the only important thing in life, we need to remember the values in sports and games such as honor, discipline, fair play, team spirit, competing with oneself, preserving efforts for excellence, satisfaction from personal achievement, respect for authority that is exercised gently and impartially, etc. Exercise. Answer the following questions. A. What is the motto of the Olympic Games? B. Why was Tigranes afraid of the Greeks? C. What is special about those who participate in the Olympics? D. What have sports persons do to be successful? E. Give some examples of heroism shown by sports person. F. How are sports used to support charitable causes? G. What do games and sports do for us? E. How does the layer of money allowed sports person to fall play? I. What are some of the exaggeration of the fans of players? What are their bad consequences? To discuss it. Time spent in sports and games is time lost since they are not productive activities. 3. Something to do. A. Participate in the tournaments organized at school. B. Help your juniors to learn technique and rules of the games you play. So something to think about. Some games exercise our brains, other exercise both the body and mind. If they do not get any exercise at all, both brain and body would weaken and atrophy. Something to memorize. The most important thing of the Olympic Games is not to win but to take part, just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph but the struggle. Bon Pierre de Coubertin. Play not for gain but for sport. Herbert. Health is the visual principle of bliss and exercise of health. From Chapter 12. Reading. Reading and hence knowledge was till a few countries ago only for the rich because books were so expensive. Movable type printing. This enabled the cheap production of numerous copies of books. With the increase in the circulation of books in the 16th century, knowledge spread very fast and the world was changed completely. There have been highly advanced civilizations in several parts of the world. They do not exist anymore because they were limited to a few people in very small areas of the globe. If our civilization succeed to solve that the man with Sudha Murthy and her husband Narayana Murthy of Infosys once went to a dinner at the house of a very rich man. On returning home, she remarked how poor their hosts were. They didn't have a single book on their bookshelf, she explained. Long before the Murthy became rich, while they were surviving on small jobs, they would keep rupees 150 aside each month for books. They made it a point to buy and read at least 2 books a month. How to read? Reading relaxes us, widens our knowledge, improves our grammar and vocabulary, etc. Do not look up in the dictionary every new word you come across. That would slow you down and reading would become boring. If you understand the general meaning of the sentence as a whole, just keep reading. When you see the same word 4 or 5 times, you will automatically come to know its meaning. There is not one to uniform style of reading to be used always. The way we read depends on the nature of the book and the reasons for our reading it. It has been scientifically proved that the amount we understand or remember does not depend on the speed with which we read. A slow reader understand well the details in each paragraph of page, but miss the overall total vision of the author. How fast do you think you can read? Most of us, experts say, can read about 250 words a minute with 70% comprehension. Anything over 350 words a minute is exceptional. Maria Teresa Calderon, a pretty Filipino girl, had by the age of 16 become probably the world's fastest reader. She could read an unbelievable 80,100 words a minute with 100% comprehension. Of course, this is highly exceptional, even a freak case, and we should not get discouraged comparing ourselves to her, but we could certainly make efforts to increase our speed above the average. Do a speed reading course with you have the possibilities. You will never be sorry. Of the author bracket to know a little more about the author herself. With experience, we learn to choose the chapters and the parts of each chapter that we want to test, shallow, view, or digest. What to read? No one can even dream of reading all that is printed these days. There are thousands of books released worldwide every single day. We have to learn to choose what we read. If you are books of any Conan Doyle. Any decent library would have adapted or abridged version of the classics. These are books that have remained for decades, and even countries as popular as when they first appeared. Other authors constantly make references to them in their own books. Read as many of these abridged classics as possible. You can gradually switch over to the original themselves. Read as many biographies as you can. Other books that would be interesting to read include historical novels, religious epics, travel journals, etc. Newspapers. No one reads every word in a newspaper. It is not meant to be read that way. A paper has reports an article to suit the interests of almost everyone. Both for regional news, national news, and international news, sports, the economy, culture, entertainment, education, employment, etc. are other things in specific parts of the paper. Some papers deal once a week with particular topics such as books, spirituality, self-improvement, career, etc. You will soon know on what day and on what page of the paper your favorite items appear. A glance through the headlines gives you a general picture of whatever is happening around you. When a particular headline interests you, read the first 2 or 3 paragraphs of the article. Generally, that is enough. Read the rest only if the topic is especially important for you. You will notice that the later parts are a repetition of the first paragraph with many more details that may be of no use to you unless you want to specialize on the topic. The editorials are the most important part of the paper. There we find important topics treated in a serious manner. They give us the official opinion of the owners or editors of the newspaper. The letters to the editor tell us how the readers and members of the public react to these editorials and to the events that have been repeated. Library. 14-year-old Salim Bohra of Jagpora in Assam by using his own writing from the palace and in the book they did not want to keep the he got idea when he was in UK on a 6-week student expect own native town and he decided to find a solution. In India, we have great respect for books. We are taught from our childhood not to play with them, not to step on them, and not to throw them around. The greatest respect we can show books is to read them and help others read them. A word of caution. We do not accept or believe something just because we see it printed. Once after not difficult to read a book. Not it is in May 2005. The internet was found possible published exactly the same and place were changed to give the impression that the event had taken place locally. Like all other things in life, even the great gift of the printed word is misused by some people to harm others, create tension between communities, spread falsehood, and destroy good. We avoid the sort of books when we are able to recognize them even before we read them. If we realize their nature only after we start reading them, we stop right there. If for one reason or another we have to read them to the end, then we do so critically, studying their ideas and their reasoning. Then we read other authors who have quite to opposite point of view on the same topic. We discuss them with people who know more than we do, and finally we arrive at an opinion of our own. Develop a taste for reading and you will never be lonely for the rest of your life. Exercise 1. Answer the following questions. A. Why was Gutenberg named the greatest man of the second millennium? B. What are some of the rules to follow when we read? C. Is slow reading always better than fast reading? D. Which are some of the books we could read as we develop the habit of reading? E. Explain the technique of reading newspapers. F. How did Salim Bohra start a library in his village? G. What should we be careful about as we read? To discuss. We can learn all we need to know from our textbooks and from watching television. We do not need to read anything else. 3. Something to do. A. Pay a visit to the public library closest to you. Ask the librarian to show you the various kinds of books available there. To teach you the way the books are arranged and to explain the services the library offers to the public. B. If your school has no library, collect all the old books of the students in your class and make them available to each other. 4. Something to think about. Such a great genius as totally original and I to us. Treat us, comfort us, open their hearts to us as brothers. 6. Something to memorize. To read without reflecting is like eating without disgusting. Go. The man who is fond of books is usually a man of lofty thoughts and elevated opinions. Dawson. It was from my own early experience that I decided that there was no use to it. Rare valuable out of everything he read. Pliny. Reading maketh a fool man. Bacon. The end of chapter 7. Lessons for living. Choose your best attitude, improving your self-esteem, creating motivation for change. Shelley Publications. Lessons for Living, Part 7. Read by Hassanuzzaman Malik. 23rd February 2015. 10 p.m. Chapter 4. Peer Pressure. Here is one of the Jatak tales. The great king Brahmadatta of Varanasi had a great but gentle elephant in his stall. In the procession he took part in, no matter the number of people around him at festivals, no matter the beating of drums and bursting of crackers, the elephant remained calm, docile and dignified. It was never necessary to put any chains on him. There was an empty stall behind the elephant's stable, and it was never locked. A dacoit leader discovered this and made this stall his headquarters. Who would search for a dacoit in the stable of the king himself? The dacoit would meet with the gang in his stall almost every night. They would discuss all their plans and narrate glory details of their experiences. The gang leader would instruct them every night not to trust anyone and to kill any suspicious person coming their way. After several weeks of this, a mahout came to the elephant's stable to take him out to be bathed in preparation for a procession. The elephant that once used to be so gentle jumped violently, picked the mahout up in his trunk and dashed him to death on the walls of the stall. Everyone was shocked at the behavior of his sweet giant of yore. When even the mahout King Brahma with sadness in his heart that the had gone mad and had to be killed. While in the king's court for some the very first night they heard the violent discussion taking place within earshot of the elephant. The dacoits were captured and put in prison. The wise man got a group of people to sit in the same stall and talk daily of love, peace, and harmony. They spoke of the brotherhood of all creation and narrated sweet stories of kindness and romantic love. After a few weeks of this, a mahout was once again sent to the elephant's stable. He found to be. The wise man had understood that the elephant had been influenced with all the violent talk near him. He could be made gentle again by surrounding him by the company we keep. We all need friends. In order to feel accepted as a friend by our companions, we often imitate them and do whatever they do. A few years ago, there was the case of a boy in Bangkok who was even beaten up by his companions because he refused to smoke with them. The use of such physical force may be rare, but there is another type of force that is equally or even more powerful. That is the moral force that we call peer pressure. In January 2001, a schoolboy died in an accident in Delhi. He had been driving to school without a driving license. He was too young to drive, and inquiry showed that there were many students driving to school on a regular basis. Everyone in the class wanted to be like the ones who were already driving. They wanted to be like their friends. In November 2004, pediatricians in Guwahati found a distinct link between school dropouts and drug addicted. Dr. R.U. Zaman, assistant professor of psychiatry, said children start on drugs on an experimental basis to show that they belong to their peer group. In December 2004, Punit Dua, a student of class 12 in Delhi, said everyone carries a mobile to school, and not just any mobile. It's more about showing off than utility. There are youngsters who force their parents to buy them a few pair of sports shoes because the members of their gang decided that the brand they are presently using is no longer in. There are students who refuse to use spectacles even though they cannot see the blackboard, or to use a hearing aid through they cannot hear the teacher. They prefer to be blind or deaf rather than appear different in any way from their friends. There are also adults who succumb to the pressure of the current fashion in hairstyles, or the width of neckties, or the design that the strongest, because our personality and our self-confidence are not yet fully developed. We are very different from our parents and similar to our companions. A mature adult is self-confident. He decides for himself what he will do, even if he is the only one in the group doing it. Mahatma Gandhi confessed in his autobiography that when he was young, he went even to the extent of stealing money from his parents in order to be able to keep up with his friends. How can we avoid getting into serious trouble due to peer pressure? we could take two courses of action. Irrespective of the company we keep. We need not avoid everyone who makes a mistake. We make mistakes ourselves. We do not throw out of our group everyone who is different from us in some way. Even if they are wrong, we would not necessarily start behaving like them. But if the vast majority of our friends are regularly involved in some wrongdoing or having some bad habit, it is almost certain that we ourselves will fall sooner rather than later. We choose our friends wisely. Secondly, we develop our self-confidence and our self-esteem. We will not do something only because we are afraid that an individual or a group may reject us when we do not do all that they demand. We have our own convictions. No one on earth can please everyone. When we have a strong self-esteem, we do not feel the need to be accepted, loved, or prized by everyone. We enjoy the satisfaction of doing what we know is right. Our strong self-confidence, self-esteem, and willpower enable us to stick to whatever we truly believe in, even if others in our group behave differently. Just as we avoid peer pressure towards what is bad, we can be the peer pressure towards what is good. Try to influence your friends to be studious, obedient, polite, respectful, creative, kind, generous, punctual, clean, etc. As you are. Exercise 1. Answer the following questions. A. Write the story of the gentle elephant that became violent. B. What is meant by peer pressure? C. Is it possible to avoid being influenced by people around us? D. What could be the bad effects of peer pressure? E. What could help us avoid the evil effects of peer pressure? F. Can we offer peer pressure towards what is good? To discuss. It is better to be alone than in bad company. 3. Something to do. Join a group such as a scout troop or some other club or association in your school. So something to think about. Am I a good or a bad influence on my companions? If the people in our area really know me, would they be encouraging or discouraging their children? To memorize. What you will catch as well as wise by contact. Work. The spirit of a person's life is ever shedding some power, just as a flower is the star king. The entire ocean is affected by a pebble, Pascal. Others are affected by what I am and say and do. And these others have also their own service of influence too. Taming. Chapter 5. A rich man's world? Money. Money, money. It's a rich man's world. So sang the group ABBA. When the television program Kaun Banega Crorepati was launched on July 2000, there were 690 phone lines dedicated exclusively to it. 60 lakh calls were made to the program. People of making easy money through participating in the quiz become the focus of millions of people. When the program was relaunched in 2005, it topped the rating among the 1-hour time stores of the year. The channel's market share of 10% went up to 38% during this period. People like to watch other make or lose money. What others make or lose money. They like even more to take money for themselves. Greed for money has led many people into doing what they know was wrong. In June 2004, Tulsi Prasad Agrawala, a student of class 1 at Monfort School at Chauba in Assam, was kidnapped by his tutor and strangled to death because his father did not pay up the ransom demanded of him. Kidnapping children for ransom and murdering them when the money is not handed over in time has become a frequent occurrence in various parts of India. In August 2006, 5 students in Vasco, Goa kidnapped a friend of theirs, Mandar, and demanded rupees 50 lakh from his parents. When they did not get it, they killed him. In December 2004, old widow of the Narudapatia massacre during the riots of 2002 was burnt out of greed for the money she received as compensation. She had lost 8 out of 11 members of her family in the massacre to marry her for her money, and when she refused, he poured kerosene on her and lit a match. In May 2004, 25-year-old Raju Das of Kolkata wanted some money from his mother. When she refused, he fought with her for the gold chain she had kept hidden. In the short struggle that followed, the son landed a punch on his mother's stomach and fled. The blow resulted in the death of his mother. In the early part of 2004, that there was a treasure buried hills near Guwahati. Several people started digging for it. People heard that one day 2 people come to visit him, took him into the hills and murdered him through he protested that he had not found anything valuable. Unequal distribution. The number of millionaires or crororepatis in India is growing by leaps and bounds year after year. By October 2004, a Swiss company was selling 5 watches a month in India, each of which cost rupees 25 lakh. A shopkeeper was dressed in ordinary clothes. Someone who certainly was no politician, celebrity, bought a diamond set and 16 lakh. There are lots of rich and very rich people in India. Side of the picture is of the millions who live below the poverty line. Their families surviving on less than rupees 50 a day. In July 2004, a baby girl was assassinated by her mother. Actions by her mother hours after her birth for rupees 4,000 in a village in Tamil Nadu's Erode district. Reports of children being sold by their parents because of their inability to feed themselves and their children are frequent today. Another sad event that occurs so regularly in the rural areas of India today is the suicide of farmers. Many of them borrow heavily for purpose of buying seeds, fertilizers, and insecticides. When the crop was crop fails due to drought, flood, or other reason, they see no hope either of getting out of their debts. They see suicide and, at times, the death of the entire family as preferable to the misery they would have to suffer for the rest of their life. Raju Saha secured first division marks in the matriculation examination of Agartala in 2004. He wanted to study science at the higher secondary level, but his father, who is an ice cream vendor, could not afford the expenses involved. Fortunately, an NGO came to know on his plight and helped him. There are numerous intelligent and hard-working young people who are in the same sad situation and do not find a good Samaritan of their neighborhood. In August 2006, a daily wage earner in Jagadish was looked for someone to buy one of his kidney to pay the fees of his son in the engineering college. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva revealed at the UN General Assembly in October 2004 that 24,000 people die every day because they have nothing to eat. The growing gap between the rich and the poor is the cause of a lot of criminal activity in the country today. The poor see no hope of pulling themselves out of total misery. Out of this year, not have themselves indulged in violence on a massive scale. We ought to have unique experiences. Already 4 people who are not professional astronauts have spent time in the International Space Station paying $20 million each. Vienna-based Space Adventure are now offering to arrange also a spacewalk on an additional payment of $15 million. Money may be spent on less noble pursuits. That had to be left behind when their owners left town for a while. Their owners pay $23 plus tax for every night the pet uses the hotel. Spendthrift ways. Her shelves are overflowing with dress costing pound 4,000 and more, and bags priced above pound 1,000. One day she spent pound 11,000 in 20 minutes of shopping. On another occasion, a day's shopping totaled pound 55,000. Consider Asim Premji. Instead, he is one of the richest Indians, but his wealth rests lightly on his schedules. He has not bought a private jet of his own, unlike many others who have less money than he has. He does not even he buys an economy ticket as he always used to be, but he was adopted 200 schools in Karnataka, providing them the infrastructure they need. Thomas J. Stanley, who has written a book about millionaires, was impressed by people who don't care to appear wealthy, don't care about the trappings of wealth. They drive used cars, look reduction cells in shops, shun debt and credit cards, and live relatively simple life. Beverly Bishop, for example, sold more than $100 million worth of cars, but owns only a second-hand car. I don't want to know your bank balance, knowledge, or intelligence, just your sufferings. These are the words on a board outside the home of someone many people only know as Dr. Teen Rupayawala. Dr. Rasiklal Gandhi charges no consultation fees and just ₹3 for 1 day's medication. In 1962 and was 10 years in a charitable hospital. When it closed down, he started his own clinic with the full support of his wife, Sarla. They used to charge ₹1 for a day medicines, but raised it to ₹3 these years. Besides helping her husband in his mission, Sarla goes to orthopedic ward of Rajwadi Hospital every morning to feed the children there. Dr. Gandhi works 8 hours a day and sees up to 300 patients daily. He conducts free diabetes detection campus. Richer patients make small anonymous donations that they drop into a box outside his office. In January